Hello everyone, Joel here from Golf Monthly, and in this video I'm testing the brand new Callaway Mavrik drivers. Really excited about this one. Callaway making some big claims about the performance of these drivers, especially this brand new club face designed by a supercomputer. So I think it's about time we had a look at the different models within the range, what they're all about, assess the looks and the performance to really see how these drivers stack up. Let's get started. Okay, so what have Callaway done with this Mavrik driver range to make it unique and improve the performance? Well, we saw with Epic Flash how they used a supercomputer, artificial intelligence to create a very complex multi-thickness face. Well, Callaway say they've invested more millions of dollars into this kind of supercomputer, artificial intelligence concept to create 3 different face designs specific to each model within the range. So much so, they actually needed to use a stronger material to incorporate this new design. So Callaway say that, on those slight mishits, you shouldn't be losing as much speed as you were in Epic Flash and certainly in Rogue that this driver range replaces. There are 3 different models. You've got the standard model, the Sub-Zero and the Max model, all catering for different needs, and we'll come on to the looks of those drivers and how they're different in a second. But on the face of it, Callaway really trying to push the boundaries of forgiveness with the driver and especially accuracy without sacrificing distance. That's the big thing they're talking about, is not really sacrificing anything. So it'll be interesting to see how these drivers perform. But before we go on to that, let's talk about the looks of these drivers. So starting with the looks of these Callaway Mavrik drivers, I think the first point to touch on is this orange finish on the sole. I think you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't with driver design. If you had a plain black driver, people would say it's boring. If you put loads of colour on it, people would say it's a bit leery and maybe cheapens the look a little bit. For me, I'm kind of in the middle. I like the fact that it's got a bit of colour on it, it kind of pops off the shelf, and it's definitely noticeable out on tour. We saw Xander Schauffele put this driver in play at the President's Cup, and it was instantly recognisable with that orange finish, which I suppose is what Callaway want. But you could argue it does cheapen the look a little bit, especially from the sole view. But at address, it's a nice, clean-looking driver, to be honest with you. Very similar to Rogue, actually. You've got the carbon fibre weave pattern on the crown with some kind of very subtle orange trim around the perimeter, pretty easy to align. And I can see here I've got the 3 different models, and they are 3 distinct shapes actually, starting with the standard Mavrik driver, which interestingly you can see this has a cyclone shape to it. So you can see it's very high at the back, kind of got this high rear skirt, comes up very steeply. And the Callaway say this is going to reduce aerodynamic drag up to 61% compared to Epic Flash. So that should help give you more clubhead speed. It's kind of mid-size in terms of down behind the ball at address. It's a really nice profile actually. And then you move into the Sub-Zero model. It's got a taller face. It's a little bit shorter from front to back when you put it down behind the ball actually. And better players will definitely prefer that kind of compact shape. And it's got adjustable sole weight, so you've got 2 and 14 gram that you can switch around to change the spin characteristics and launch characteristics of the driver. So it'll be interesting to see how that performs compared to the standard model. It doesn't have the cyclone shape to it. And then you've got the Max model here, which I literally just received yesterday. So this is kind of like the larger, forgiving, high MOI driver option within the range. And it's got more draw bias built in as well. So basically this is for golfers that tend to slice the ball, miss to the right, and also have maybe a slower swing speed. The Max driver is a good option for those players. So 3 distinct kind of profiles at address, all very good. Definitely prefer the Sub-Zero driver. That's the smallest. Moving into the standard, a little bit bigger, and then the Max is definitely the longest from front to back, probably going to inspire the most confidence. So 3 different looks to suit 3 different preferences. Okay, so now we're talking about sound and feel of these drivers, and I've got my Epic Flash Sub-Zero just to give you hopefully a bit of a comparison with what Mavrik offers. We know that Rogue a couple of years ago was a really nice, powerful thud to it. It was quite a quiet sound, kind of a soft sound, but a very powerful thud. But let's see how Epic Flash, first of all, sets some kind of bass feelings with Epic Flash about what that's all about. We know, as you heard there, has a very high-pitched sound. Didn't really like that, to be honest with you. Was never a fan of that kind of tingy sound to it. So let's see how the Mavrik, this is a standard model first of all, see how that kind of sounds and feels compared to Epic Flash. That was the Sub-Zero model. This is the standard Mavrik. And hopefully you can detect on the microphone there that it is a very different sound. Definitely lower pitched, quieter, probably a bit shorter as well. More kind of like a thud to it, as we saw with Rogue Driver. But let's see how the Sub-Zero driver compares to both of those. So, this is the driver that, based on the numbers that I've seen so far and the performance, this is the one I would probably be looked to putting in the bag out of any of them. And for me, definitely a much better feeling and sounding driver than the Epic Flash. I'm not quite sure if it's as good as Rogue for me. It's a little bit louder than Rogue. I like the shortness of the sound that we had with Rogue. This one reverberates for a little bit longer and is maybe a little bit louder, but definitely the feel off the face is very solid with these Mavrik drivers. It really does feel like there's minimal energy lost in that collision between club and ball. So very, very pleasing for me. And if you're looking for a driver that's going to feel really solid and really powerful, but not be too loud and overpowering, the Mavrik drivers are going to deliver that, especially the Sub-Zero. Right, so on to the all-important performance. Tested the Mavrik drivers indoors on the launch monitor at Foresight Sports HQ, on the GCQuad launch monitor with premium golf balls, using the Aldila Rogue 60X shaft, which is a stock option within the new Mavrik range. And I'll flash up all the data on the screen a bit later. You can pause it, run through it if you like, but I'm just going to pick out some key numbers. The first thing that I'm really looking at is club head speed with that new cyclone shape on the standard driver. Is that giving me more club speed over the Sub-Zero driver? And I've got to say, the answer is categorically no. Unfortunately, you look at the club speed, it was actually 107.8 with the standard Mavrik, and then that jumped up to 109.6, so over 2 miles an hour quicker with the Sub-Zero driver. So clearly that smaller shape, 450 cc's that driver is, it's doing more for me than the cyclone shape and aerodynamics and things like that on the standard driver. So that was interesting. Even though the standard driver was more efficient in terms of smash factor, 1.45 to 1.42, it is giving me more ball speed marginally. It's launching a bit low actually, the standard driver, which I was surprised about, but the Sub-Zero driver I tested was in the high forgiving setting, so with the heavier weight at the back of the head. Definitely found that to be a nice combination of low spin and playability out on the golf course. Other numbers of note, it's interesting, the Mavrik driver is spinning a little high for me at 2.2, whereas the Sub-Zero driver is perfect, just under 2,000. Both peaking at 33 yards, which is a little bit on the low side. And then you've got an average carry of 269 with the Mavrik driver and 273 with the Mavrik Sub-Zero, which is very interesting because I've tested a lot of drivers this year. You can get Ping, G410 Plus, Titleist TS3, new Cobra driver, a few others as well. I'm always hovering around that 273 carry mark, and this is competing with that, but it's not superseding it. It's not a big jump in performance. I'm always hovering around 109 club speed, 155, 156 ball speed. Just under 2,000 spin. These are optimum numbers from the Callaway Mavrik Sub-Zero. This is a very, very good performing driver that's definitely up there with all the other best drivers on the market, but it's not loads better or any better, to be honest with you, in terms of the numbers just on the launch monitor. And then we compare that with Epic Flash Sub-Zero, which is still in the range for 2020. Numbers are very similar, to be honest with you. Ball speed 156, club speed was actually higher at 110.7, so over 1 mile an hour quicker than Mavrik Sub-Zero. A little bit lower efficiency, but you look at the carry distance of 272. So, I think in summary, Mavrik Sub-Zero was the best for me. That low spin performance definitely helping my swing out. Didn't get data for the Max driver that literally arrived with me yesterday, but further testing will be done on that, and I'll add that to my review online on the Golf Monthly website once I've tested that driver. Not seeing big jumps in performance, but it's still a very good performing driver. It's not better than Epic Flash by any means. It's very similar to Epic Flash, but I think it's about time we took it on the golf course to see how my favourite model, the Mavrik Sub-Zero driver, played in a real world environment. So let's get on the golf course. Right, okay, so I've played a few holes. Apologies for the shadow of the camera on the tee, by the way. It's very early in the morning here at Burghley Park Golf Club. But I've played a few holes with my preferred Callaway Mavrik Sub-Zero driver. I've got to say, with very little warm-up or practice swings, I've actually hit some pretty straight drives. I've been surprised at how accurate it was. Look, we know that accuracy is very player dependent, and a lot of it comes down to the swing that you put on the golf ball and whether you've squared the face or not. But maybe there is something in the fact that, you know, slightly off centre, this driver is definitely performing better in terms of accuracy. I just kind of want to give you a bit of a demonstration now, because literally I've played a few holes. It's still very cold. I'm not overly loose, but I have been surprised at how easy this driver has been to hit straight. So see if I can prove that for you now. I mean, that's literally straight down the middle, split the fairway between the two trees. As easy as that. Let's see if I can do it again with this second ball. Just down the left side, but again, I'm pretty happy with that one as well. So obviously very difficult to kind of claim necessarily with any certainty that the Mavrik drivers are more accurate than Rogue or Epic Flash, but I would say that definitely seems to be a lot of help on those very slight miss hits. Seems easy to square up. The feel of it is excellent, as we've talked about already, and out in a real world environment, definitely confident I can find a few more fairways with these Mavrik drivers. Right, so on to my overall verdict, and I've got to say there is an awful lot to like about the Callaway Mavrik drivers. You know, while it maybe didn't kind of blow me away in terms of performance, I don't really think you're going to see that anymore. You're not going to see drivers where you're going to be gaining 10, 15 yards over what came before. You know, those days are gone. You know, we're always talking marginal gains when it comes to new driver releases, and for me there is a lot to like I mentioned, especially when it comes to feel and sound with this driver and accuracy. Now, those are the two things that really stood out for me. And with the three different heads, you've got, you know, some distinct choices there where you go through a custom fitting process with Callaway, depending on the launch and spin characteristics you're looking for, or maybe even shot shape preferences as well. Obviously, you know, with the Sub-Zero driver, you don't have the option now to adjust the weight of the back for shot shape, but you do have the option to adjust launch and spin. So Callaway have kind of flipped that from Epic Flash. So within the two different ranges, therefore, there is some differentiation there, you know, with them running concurrently, both on sale this year in 2020. If you're looking for shot shape adjustability, you've got the option of Epic Flash. Then if you've got the kind of the front to back adjustability with the Sub-Zero driver and Mavrik, you can go down that route. But across all different options within the Mavrik range, there's definitely going to be one to cater for your needs. But in this stock shaft offering, I've been very impressed with the Mavrik Sub-Zero. Definitely a contender for my bag. Love the looks of it, love the feel of it, and the performance is very good as well and very playable out on the golf course. So comes in at £469, so sits just under Epic Flash, although you probably get them for a similar amount now. For me, it represents pretty decent value for money in the grand scheme of things on the driver market. Guys, hope you enjoyed that review of the Callaway Mavrik range. Of course, check out the full review on the Golf Monthly website, where I will add my max driver data to the story. But for now, from Burghley Park Golf Club, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you next time.